Okay, Assalamualaikum and a very good afternoon. Okay, I'll continue with the audit, the auditor, the internal auditor participation. How can internal auditor should play their roles. This time for the system implementation. Okay, during system implementation, there are a few things that normally happen. First, we will the system, the IT people will install software, maybe to all machines, all computers, or maybe they install or at the server, okay, specific assigned server to have a specific application. Okay, for example, the when we use 365, Windows 365, it is parked at a specific server. Okay, and then when we want to use, we just click the or log in to the site, and all the authorized users can access and can use the application. Once you finish, you have to log out. Okay, once you log out, connection to the server is terminated, and all data is installed at the server, at the database, unless you download to your own computers. Okay, some organizations, they don't allow any download of data to computers or personal computers, okay, for security reason. Okay, right, what internal auditor can do is to provide technical expertise. What does technical expertise means here? It means that specific procedure. Okay, for example, in terms of payment, okay, internal auditor should check or have to check any payment are made based on evidence, based on source document, meaning that there should be or should exist bills or invoices, and there should be supported with payment vouchers. Okay, why we need payment vouchers? Payment vouchers prepared by one person in charge of preparing payment voucher, and then we have another person to check and verify the details, the amount, so that we ensure that there are segregation duties, and at the same time there are checking and verification function exists in the organization. Let's say if only one person will prepare everything, he or she is the one who prepare he and she was prepare the check and sign the check. So only one person. What could happen? So many things could happen. Maybe that there will be opportunity to pay without invoice, to pay more than the amount, the invoiced amount, to pay to anyone other than the names appear on the invoice. So preparer should be different from the one who check and verify. Okay, so that's the procedure. Accounting rules. Okay, we want to make sure that whatever we record in a specific period or are the things that happen during that specific period. Let's say from 1st January until 31st December. Okay, if transaction incurred during that period, then we can record and recognize as revenue or expenses, okay, or assets or liability. But let's say if a transaction occurred in previous period, so we cannot record in this period, okay, 2002. If transaction incurred or occurred in 2021, it should be recorded in 2021, not in 2022. Okay, it's clear, right? The accounting rules. Convention. Still remember recognition of revenue. When we recognize revenue, revenue is recognized when goods transfer hand from seller to buyer, or when services, when the services is completed or already performed the service, we can record it as revenue. Okay, if it is not yet paid, we have to record as accounts payable. If it's not yet collected, we have to record as accounts receivable. So in terms of accounting rules, accounting conventions, it is a expertise of those who learn and study accounting, or who involved with accounting. Okay, if someone who doesn't know accounting records the accounting transaction, we have to check. Okay, maybe they can record, but whether they understand what are the accounting principle, accounting rules and convention is another issue. And understand is one thing, whether they practice or not. Okay, and it has to be comply with generally accepted accounting procedure. But in our case, we are using, in Malaysia specifically, we are using IFRS, International Financial Reporting Standard. Okay, revenue should be recorded as revenue, expenses should be recorded accordingly, assets should be recorded maybe as if current asset, record as current asset, long-term asset, record as long-term asset, and if it is liability, we have to record accordingly. Okay, so this is the area where internal auditor could play their roles. Okay. Failure to comply may lead to legal exposure for the firm. Let's say the management instruct the accountants to change some of the records. Okay, and the accountant change. Okay, and the auditor can detect actually. Okay, let's say that there is in when we talk about the controlled goods, for example, sugar, rice, okay, cooking oil. Okay, these three items have shilling price, means that we cannot sell more than the shilling price. Okay, can sell less. Okay, because it is first, it is subsidized by the government. Second, it is control. Now, if you sell more than shilling price, if the business is caught, there will be a very huge compound. Okay, I think 50,000, right? If they perform audit. Audit means that they didn't call, they just drop by and check the price without telling you who they are, and will issue the summon. Right. Okay, next, the specified documentation standard. During implementation also, there is a requirement to have documentation. Okay, so auditors play the role in specifying system documentation. Okay, when we talk about financial system, we have a periodical audit. Okay, periodical audit. Okay, accounts normally close on 31st December. Okay, maybe the law allow for several months to prepare the financial statement and to be audited. Okay, so within, let's say, 2 months, within 2 months, the organization will have to close account and prepare financial statement. Okay, and submit to external auditor to be audited. The auditor should actively encourage the organization to follow the effective documentation standard. Okay, so if organization follow the documentation standard, and at the end of the day, they will they can prepare, they can generate financial statement on time, or maybe earlier, maybe 1 week or 2 weeks after closing date, they can produce the financial statement, and then first to be audited by the internal auditor. Once the internal auditor satisfied and they prepare the report, okay, all this report will be submitted to the external auditor. External auditor will depend on internal auditor's report, because at earlier part of this class, we mentioned about the work of internal auditor. External auditor will have communication with internal auditor to know what are the areas that have been audited, what are the weakness that internal auditor found, and whether the internal control exists or not, and whether they can depend on internal control or not. If internal control is sound, meaning that they can depend on internal auditor's work, and maybe they can take only samples, okay, to perform the test. If internal control is weak or not exist at all, so they will have to perform 100% audit. Okay, that's how it works.